it's a place you shouldn't go to. It's to be avoided at all costs. Don't go there, tourists. Don't go there. Some of us have been there and we're still trapped years later. Well, what is it? It's well, legally, it's a space, a public space in a park in London called Hyde Park, which is in central London, and it has a very long history. It goes back 1,000 years or more. That particular area of the park, which is called Speaker's Corner now, used to be the place of execution, I think from the 1200s up to the 1700s. So people would be taken there from London, because London at that time was much further to the east, because London's grown and grown and grown over the centuries. So they would be taken there and be hung, drawn, and quartered, or hung, or whatever. And lots of people were executed, not just murderers and highwaymen, but Catholic priests and others who were, and many martyrs, Catholic priests were martyred, simply being Catholics during the Elizabethan era, who were killed there. And it was in a remote part out in the country at that time. This was many centuries, it was a place of execution. But in the 19th century, it became a public park, and we didn't kill people anymore there. We did it in a prison somewhere else. At one point, there was a lot of protests. I think trade unionists were demanding their rights. These are the 1830s or something. And they rallied in the park, and they were attacked by the police. And they weren't really allowed to protest unmolested. And Parliament passed a law saying that this area would, in fact, be set aside for public gatherings and public free speech. So they could actually meet there legally in the future. And this was a legal right. So Speaker's Corner is actually there because of a law which states that people can go there and exercise their right to free speech without any molestation from the police. I say any, I mean, if you were to call for the open killing of people, you know what I mean? If you were to do something stupid like that, you're not going to be tolerated because that's a crime. But if you were to, famous people have been there, like Karl Marx went there, for example, and Lenin went there, and George Orwell went there, and many other famous people have been there throughout history, just to and protected by law to speak their mind. And that continues today, obviously. It's called Speaker's Corner now. And in the last few years, it's been quite dominated by religious debates between Christians and Muslims. And in a sense, for me, that's a shame, because some of the debates are quite sterile and quite harsh. And there are other things in life that Speaker's Corner should be about, politics, for example, or even eccentric English things, like there's the Flat Earth Society used to go there. These are apparently normal people who argue the earth is flat. And I kid you not, I've spoken to them, and you talk to them, they appear to be quite normal, and they have arguments, but that's very eccentric, and that's great. That belongs at Speaker's Corner, as well as Christian missionaries and Muslims and atheists and so on. So I'd like to see a more diverse group of people going there, but it can be very toxic. It can be very nasty. Occasionally it can be violent. I mean, the police obviously are there as well. And it can be quite a negative experience, actually. And that's why you have to be careful, and it's not always a good place to go.